Hey everyone, we're really excited to do our very first discussion panel for Infinite Summer. So for Infinite Summer, it's our Game Infinite summer annual event. We got trailers, we got developer interviews, we got all kinds of stuff going on. We got some cool articles and recaps of the big events, but I'm personally really excited for these. These are going to be topical discussions where we're going to go over a very specific topic. And Mass Effect Infinite is one of our GI channels. We got some really cool Mass Effect creators here to talk with you guys today. So I'm just going to go around and introduce you to a couple of them and let them introduce themselves. So Matthias here is a Mass Effect streamer, really cool content. We got Cassie, who's actually our GI mod for Mass Effect Infinite. Not only does she oversee the Mass Effect Infinite page, but she also has some really amazing original Mass Effect art and cosplay, as well as we got Nick here, who you may know Nick as one of our GI friends who has actually designed our Game Infinite mascot, did an amazing job on that. They're a part of our creator collection, so they have some art on our store. And they're also big Mass Effect fans, so they actually have a really cool Mass Effect Miranda fan art that is awesome, and it won our Mass Effect fan art of the year last year during our best of event. So we got some really cool content creators here that I'm really excited. So Matthias, we're going to start with you. Go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we'll go around.
All right, hi, I'm Matthias Handler. My channel is Lightspeed Streams. I live stream on Twitch. Right now, I've been doing mainly Mass Effect. I did Mass Effect 1, now I'm Mass Effect 2. And then once I get done with Mass Effect 2, I'm going to do Mass Effect 3. And mainly what I'm doing is pretty much just reliving the fun of Mass Effect, because I haven't live streamed those games before. And once I got the opportunity on the PS5 here, I started live streaming and start making different choices. And boy, and just still reliving the fun of it.
Awesome. Nick, what about you? Let's go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, hi, I'm Nico Arto on Instagram. I'm a digital artist. I mostly draw waifus. And yeah, I love Mass Effect. I think it's a great franchise, and I'm very excited to talk about it. Also, I'm from Colombia, so my English is not
Oh wow,
the best.
nice.
Awesome. And Cassie, what about you?
I'm Cassie. I go by Seashells N7 on Instagram, and I do a lot of cosplay stuff, or I do a lot like a 3D artwork as well. And I really love Mass Effect, and it's a big part of my daily life.
You're so humble about it. You're like, yeah, and I do some art as well. Like completely breezing over the fact that you have like one of the most popular and awesome like 3D render pages for Mass Effect content, and it's like super high quality and like basically probably if you're a Mass Effect fan and you've seen a 3D render of Mass Effect art, it was probably Cassie's. So like yes, too humble, too humble. You're like, yeah, I got some art also. Yeah. So uh and Nick too, you're like, oh yeah, I draw waifus. I'm like, no, dude, you draw like awesome art, man. Like I feel like you put out more art every day that I see from some of the artists that we put out. Like it's just constantly new characters, new art. And that's why that was one of the reasons why we approached you to have you draw our trust you with our mascot. Like you drew the Infinite Girl. And you did an amazing job on it. So you guys stop being so humble. You got to. This is a you are the three creators we have for the official Game Infinite panel. You guys are awesome. So no humility here. This is all about being awesome and stuff. So okay, so introductions. Thank you for that, guys. I'm really excited about talking about Mass Effect for a while. I'm a little bit amped up from the Rockstar I'm having, so not a sponsor. So let's dive into some topical discussions here. So the first question was, I think the one that we have to get out of the way because I think it's something it's a question that's special to all of us. And why is Mass Effect so special and how has it impacted your life? I think, we have other channels and we all have our favorites, but Mass Effect, there's something special about it. The games are 10 years old, and yet they're still as prevalent today. The Legendary Edition is super popular. It's all still a part of our regular gamer life. And a lot of us have positioned a lot of our content creation around in some way around Mass Effect. So like, why is it special? What does it mean to you? And how has it impacted your life? Whoever wants to go first.
Here, I'll go ahead and go first. So one of the reasons why the quick story is like when I went to, it was several years ago when they were just promoting Mass Effect 3. I came a little bit late in the game of Mass Effect, but when they were promoting Mass Effect 3, I did the demo last thing at PAX that one weekend, and I was just blown away. So much so, I bought the first two games and just immediately dived right into it. And what really stuck close to me was the characters and the choices that you make, that you have such a profound impact on the story, and you carry into the second and third one where you can get the outcome of it as well too. But you can see throughout your journey the evolution of yourself and other characters around you and how they grow. And that's something I feel like we have that all in life, that like, and this is why I keep going back to Mass Effect. See, like, oh, what do I do this decision or that decision? it just it's just something about it that you just connect to it, that like you always want to be a part of this world and you can always make a difference in a way. And that's true in real life. That's why I keep coming back to it.
Yeah, I hear you. I second all of that. I remember my first experience getting into Mass Effect was I just remember it was just so dumb luck. Like I just was at GameStop looking for a game, and I didn't know, I hadn't really heard of what it was, and I'm just like, all right, well, this is sci-fi. It looks cool, and I remember I took it home and played, and I was just instantly like just hooked in it. And then Mass Effect 2, and I remember being so excited when 3 came out. I was in college, and I remember when I was just like, I got it, and I had to go to class that day, and I didn't go to class. So yeah, it's really cool just how special it is. For me, what makes Mass Effect special is that it is just in a class of its own when it comes to storytelling. I've never come across a game that has had just more in-depth and relatable characters, that the overarching story about it is amazing. It just, these characters are so real, and they just feel like your friends, like you just feel like you connect with these people. And it's had a
Yeah.
profound impact on my life, because it's insane to me that in 10 years of technological evolution, my all-time favorite game has not changed. And I think that it just goes to show that while I definitely have a lot of all-time faves, and I have a lot of games that I play regularly and a lot of games that I really like, Mass Effect managed to just pull off something, this timelessness, where like I've said, one thing that I've said before is that the only game that I think could possibly ever supplant Mass Effect 2 as the greatest of all time, in my opinion, would be a Mass Effect sequel. Like that's the only game that has the possibility of going, like taking the number one spot. It's just that if they were to make another Mass Effect game, now whether or not they could do it is another question, but it's the only one that even has the potential to possibly do it, is a Mass Effect sequel. So yeah, that's really cool. What about you guys?
For me, it's kind of weird because, like Matthias, I went to Mass Effect when the third one came out, and I didn't know anything about it. So the third one caught my interest, and I played, but I didn't understand anything about it. So when I decided to play the rest, it became something really weird because there aren't many Mass Effects uh, even today. The fact that you could choose something in the first game and it has repercussions in the last one was mind blowing to me. Like how these small stories became really big ones by the end of the story. Like the Xenophage storyline at the first game, it has some kind of impact, but you don't see the resolution to it until the last one. So to me, it was really amazing to see that kind of storytelling well done. Like I said, there's not many Mass Effects out there, and I think it's a very unique thing to do. I wish there were more, but hey, Mass Effect is unique, I guess.
It is. It is. What about you, Cassie?
For me, it was my first RPG when it came out. I started with Mass Effect 1, and I stuck with the game through the entire the story, the characters. Characters feel like your own little family as they see their relationships grow with Shepard, and I really just got attached to the world and the story. It gave me an escape, really, because it's just the world was just amazing to me.
Yeah, it really is. It's almost a difficult question to answer, and I'm the one that wrote the question, but it's like it's kind of difficult because it's somewhat inexplicable Like you almost just want to answer the question by saying you just go play it. If you haven't played it, go play it. It boggles my mind when I meet other gamers, whether they're coworkers or friends or just in whatever circle, and they haven't played Mass Effect. And I'm like, you don't understand what you're missing out. There is Mass Effect, and then there is all other games. If you haven't experienced this, it's like you're missing a part of gaming. It's like being a sci-fi fan and not watching Star Wars ever once in your life.
Yeah.
Not even trying to get into it. It's like I don't know. It's like going through life and never trying pizza. Like it's just like you can't not play Mass Effect. It's a staple. It's special. That's why I put that word. That's like the word choice I like for it is it's special. It's hard to explain why, because when we're explaining why the characters, the story, the feeling, the lore, we could give reasons, but there's just that kind of like inexplicable part of it that's just a little bit like hard to explain. That it's just special. So so next question, what is your most treasured piece of Mass Effect collectible memorabilia? Anyone have anything that they wanted to brag about that makes them really proud inside?
I have an Mass Effect Avenger weapon for cosplay. I don't have it with me right now. It's down. It's huge, and
Okay.
I love it. It's really cool.
That is really cool. That sounds
Nice.
awesome.
Sorry. So yeah, but the one thing I have is my Mass Effect 3 collector's edition. But it's not just a copy. It's actually what I actually got signed.
Oh, nice.
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 Oh, that's so cool, dude.
Yes. So like I got
You got everybody on there.
Oh, just almost like
Damn.
I got a lot of the developers, some of the voice actors and actresses like Jennifer Hale on here, and then also Ali Hills, voice of Liara, and so forth, and a bunch of the developers. I mean, I've been working a couple of years getting a bunch of signatures because sometimes what they've been doing, BioWare's been going out to PAX. And so, and it was like 2 or 3 years straight, they always come out and I try to like get autographs as well too. I even think I got the composer on here as well too. So like I got quite a bit on here. So this is like
so
my
cool.
Thank you.
That's really awesome.
I definitely should not have gone last because yours is cooler than mine. I only have one signature. You asshole, making me look bad here. Like, oh,
it's
man.
what I do.
Man, there's like, man, I got everybody that has ever made Mass Effect signed mine, and I'm like, so mine is cool, but I mean, you have everybody. So I actually got a signed. So I'm gonna show you. I have a signed Liara art from Ali Hillis. So I met her.
Awesome. You also met her.
I got
Awesome.
to talk
That's
with her
great.
for a bit, and she's don't patronize me. Yours is cooler. Shut up. You're like, oh, yours is great too. I'm like, no, shut up, man. You have Ali Hillis and everybody else that ever made Mass Effect. Man, I went to Dragon Con to meet Mark Meer, and he wasn't there on the day I went, and I was like, no, I wanted to meet him. So like, you're like, oh, I met everybody that's ever made Mass Effect ever. So yeah, I'm not asking that question again. What's the coolest collectible? And I'm definitely not going last. So. Oh, yours is nice too. All right. No, all jokes aside, man, yours is really cool. I would kill to have like that many signatures and meet that many Mass Effect creators. That is awesome, man. So thank you for sharing. I'm completely joking.
I figure as much. So.
I don't want to trivialize meeting Ali Hillis because she was awesome. So like you also met her, which is why I can make jokes that mine is lesser because you met her and everybody else. So I don't want that to come across like I'm making light of meeting her, because it was really cool to have that opportunity to meet the voice actress of Liara herself. It was awesome. Got to talk with her for a few minutes and just like she did like a line in Liara's kind of voice, and it was just awesome. Just like meet one of your like you're Liara. So no, it was really cool to meet her, and I'm sure it was really cool to meet all those creators. So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Next question. What is your all-time favorite Mass Effect moment and why? I know this is gonna be a hard question because it's like we could probably do like a top 10 list. Like, what are the top 10 best moments?
Could fill a whole list.
Yeah, that one is tough.
It's a hard one, and I'm like,
tough one.
I wrote that question, and I'm like, man, I don't even know if I have an answer for it because it's so hard. Like, because there's like happy moments and there's like sad moments, and like, how do you weigh those two? Like, I don't want to say like, you know, spoiler, Morden's death is my favorite, but it's like really good. Like that whole story arc, it's so memorable, and like, There's so many
Yeah.
good moments. So like
Like
what-
if I had to choose,
Yeah.
the whole Mass Effect 3 would be my favorite moment. I just love that game. Even though it's
can't
very
pick a whole
divisive.
game. You gotta pick a moment. Gotta pick a moment. No whole games allowed. That can't count. Anyone got one? What's your favorite moment?
I got one. So like when you posted that question, it's just like, okay, it was the one I had a hard time figuring out, but the one I kind of came across was it was towards the closer to the end of Mass Effect 3 is when you're at the Elusive Man's ship and you're finally Kyle Lang, and where you're at that moment where you're on the computer and you had that choice to like stab Kyle Lang right in the chest. I'm going, badass moment right there. Going, you did this is for Thane and Miranda.
Yeah.
That was like, ooh.
Whoa. Back up a second. You let Miranda die? What the hell's wrong with you, man?
Here's the thing. I didn't want Miranda to die. I didn't have a choice to try to save her. It was one of those things in the game like
I'm Miranda lives, so you got a choice. You let Miranda die. I'm gonna kick you out of this Zoom right now.
I didn't want the Miranda to die. I tried to save her, and yet she still ended up dying.
You just exposed yourself if Shepard has to avenge Miranda's death, that means you let Miranda die. So I'm calling you out for letting her.
Well, I know she did die. I didn't want her. That's just it. See, that was sometimes when I come across with some of the choices, they don't give me that option. And I think I have to go back.
No, I'm sorry. That is inexcusable. Inexcusable.
Oh, okay.
There are exactly two moments in Mass Effect where I broke my rule not to reload a save on my first playthrough. Because I was this is an RPG, you gotta live with your choices. But I broke that rule twice in my initial playthrough. That was to save Rex in the first game. I wasn't gonna let Rex die. I'm sorry. What did I do wrong? What random piece of armor do I need to go find to save Rex? All right. So I wouldn't let Rex die.
Same thing.
And that was to save Miranda in Mass Effect 3. All right. So I used time travel to save Miranda. So I don't want to hear from you. I didn't have a choice. You could have reloaded a save, start the whole game over to go save Miranda. I don't care if it's at the end of the game. No, I'm sorry. No, inexcusable. But yes, I do agree with you. That moment, for those of us who did the game the right way and saved Miranda, I will say that the revenge on Kai Lang is, that's just S tier stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just had to just be like, whoa, wait a minute. We don't know. Okay. So what about you guys? Favorite moments?
I have one. Like I said, my favorite game is Mass Effect 3. But the moment to me is at the end, at the final fight, when all the ships come in your aid to fight the Reapers. I think that moment is what made Mass Effect great. Because to me, Mass Effect 3 is the end. Like, not just the 10 minutes, like the whole game is the end of Mass Effect. So when you see all the ships coming in your aid, after everything you've done in the games, in the previous games as well, that's the moment that makes the games for me. And it's like I always compare this moment to Star Wars. Like in the episode 9, all the ships come in the aid of Rey and all of those guys, right? But that moment is just kind of made to me because you don't see Rey and Finn trying to help the others and get their help at the end. In Mass Effect, you interact with them, you have that moment, you do everything to get that feeling that you are saving a galaxy, and so that's why I choose that moment. Like you can feel the risks, and it's very important to me. I don't know, I feel the epicness.
The scene where all the ships show up, Mass Effect did the Avengers Endgame moments 10 years before Avengers Endgame did it. And that whole scene still is like so good when everyone's just showing up, all the ships are coming. Oh man, that is a good pick. The whole like that. Yeah, very good. What about you, Cassie?
For me, I love all the moments, but if I had to just pick one, just pick a random one, I think I would pick Morden singing. It's a little special.
Oh, that's good.
And then before he dies, he's singing the song, and it's like really always gets me.
There are that is a good one. Like Morden is I mean, it's our man Morden. Like, I mean, when
Yeah.
I still like, there are two things that I haven't forgiven BioWare for, and that's Morden and Legion. Like
Yes.
I'm like, look, guys, it's been 10 years. I'm still not over it. All right. And
Legion death always gets me.
big old man tears when you're just
Yeah.
like, it's
Yeah.
necessary, but I don't want to do the mission. Like every time
I
I replay
always
it,
thought you could save Morgan.
you
You
can,
can.
but the cost is very high, and most people choose not to. Like basically, in order to save Morden, you have to kill Rex,
I
and you
can't.
have to betray the
Yeah, I know.
Krogan, and it's just such a huge cost. And it's like you kind of rob Morden of his heroic moment too. So like, yeah, he dies, but like he gets to go out, saving the day. And he's also
It's not worth it.
it's like it's just not worth it. So they kind of force your hand. Technically, he doesn't have to, which kind of makes it sting a little bit more. Where you're like, you know what? If you're really bad, you can save him. But
Yeah.
all of us Paragons are just like, man, but no, we can't do that though. So that is a good moment, especially the callback to 2 in 3 where he's singing on the way up. I remember when I was playing through the Legendary Edition, and it's coming up to around, Turchanka's mission. It's coming up. I know it's getting close. I'm just like, I remember it was getting late, and I was just like, I'm not mentally prepared. I got to do this tomorrow. I can't do like I literally put off. That just goes to show how good a quality the emotion of that game is when you literally are dreading a part of it because you know what's coming.
Yeah.
And it's just, you just have to like emotionally prepare to see this character die, and you know what's going to happen. And it just goes to show how good of a job they did making us care about these characters when we dread that much watching one of them die.
Yeah.
So yeah, you picked a really powerful moment. Morden's sacrifice and his singing, and both times he sings is really good. I don't even know how to answer my own question. There's so many. I thought of a couple standout ones. Was like when we watch when Shepard sees the Normandy 2 the first time in Mass Effect 2, just that whole review moment, that reveal, like it's very Star Trek-esque. And I'm a huge Trekkie as well. So I just love that moment because it's just very like an homage to Star Trek. Like the slow pan of a ship's reveal in space dock is very Star Trek. And I love that moment. Man, there's so many good ones to pick. It's hard to do. I would say I might have to kind of, I think I might also go with like near the ending of 3 when everybody shows up. The Avengers Endgame moment is probably going to be up there, but I want to pick something unique. I would say, man, it's hard. There's so many good games. This is my own question, so I should have had something better, but like it's too many to pick from. It's an unanswerable question. I do think that I'm gonna pick another one that I'm gonna go with another. I'm gonna say this is another one that I really like is the in back in Mass Effect 1, the final battle where all the ships are coming. And one that always gets me, that's maybe less common answer to this question, is when you when you go to, because it has a two part to this. This is my official answer. In Mass Effect 1, if you choose to save the console, and Shepard sends in and sends in the ships, and the Joker and all the ships come in to save the Ascension, and the Ascension's getting saved, and it's just this very heroic moment, and you know that they're sacrificing human lives to save these aliens, and it's just really cool. It's this really good message of unity, and it's just a very heroic moment with really good music. Like the whole scene is really, really well done, and I love just seeing the ships swoop in and save the day. And I like the callback to it. There's a scene in Mass Effect 2 where the reporter is basically questioning Shepard's decision to save the console in Mass Effect 1, and there's a Paragon interrupt where he can interrupt her, or she can interrupt her, depending on which Shep you played as. I'm sorry. Shepard can interrupt her and say, basically interrupt the reporter and list off the different ships that got lost. And it's just this really cool moment of like, he knows the sacrifice he made, and he memorized all their names. I don't know. I love that scene and that callback.
That's a good one.
It's just like, yeah, I know what I did, and these are the crew that gave their lives for the console and for what we believe in, and it's just a really cool like moment of like, yeah, I know, and he just has those Shepard has those names memorized. So I thought that was really cool. So that's probably the one I'm going to go with. It maybe isn't my all-time, but there's too many good ones. So
yeah, actually, from Mass Effect 1, I think there's a moment that I really love is the first time you speak to a Reaper. Like that's really creepy, and I love it.
Yeah.
Gosh,
That
when
is
you
a good
talk to
one right
Sovereign
there.
for the first time, it's so like there's so much existential dread in that moment. You see like this ancient, like immortal being like talking down to you, like, oh, it's so I forgot about that one.
That
That's a good
moment
one.
really stuck with me.
Matthias, I kind of interrupted you because I went on my little Miranda rant,
Oh,
but
no.
what you got any more to add about yours?
Well, that was pretty much about it. Yeah, besides the Miranda, it's more likely of that choice you made, like you could get your revenge on your friends who passed on after that guy, after Kylan trying to Kylan killed them, and you managed to stop them. That is just like a really feel good moment right there. That like you got something accomplished and you're able to try to stop the elusive man from continuing. And especially when it's getting towards the end where like, okay, you're about to get your prime goal right here. We gotta get rid of these guys as much as possible. So but that's one of the reasons why I kind of really like that moment.
I like that moment because there's several moments in the games that regardless of how we play, like some people are like really Paragon was the more common playthrough, and then there, even if you went Renegade, like there were several moments in the games where like it didn't matter how Renegade or how Paragon you were playing, that collectively we as just Mass Effect fans just all made the same decision. Like every single person smashes that Renegade interrupt to stab Kylang. Like for so long, like I don't think people even knew what the non-option was. Like it's like I didn't even know what it looked like if you didn't do it. Like how is it a little different and stuff?
I was thinking of trying to do something like, okay, let me try to get a save file, like try to let it go just to see what happens. I haven't got a chance to do that. Yeah, but I just want to see what happens.
We all do it, and we do it every time. Like you just can't not push the button. I love how there's several moments throughout the games where even some of the developers have told us like, well, yeah, everybody did that. Like no one even knows what if you don't do that. Like there was one developer I was watching an interview, and it was like, yeah, there's actually like a special scene, like if you never romance anybody throughout the whole game, like there's a special like ending clip or whatever, and they're like, yeah, no one does it, like no one avoids like all three games, like you could never romance anyone throughout the whole three games.
And if you play as FemChep during the Citadel DLC, if you don't romance anyone, you end up sleeping with Javik. I've seen, and then this music starts playing, and it's like,
oh, that's bad.
Oh man, that's awful.
But it's not hard not to romance anyone.
Another one is we all push that one merc out the window in Mass Effect 2. You have to do it. You just have to push them out the window. Like it's. Yeah, I don't think anybody knows what happens if you don't push them out the window.
I actually did that one time where I did not push that merc. I was just curious what happened, and apparently Shepard just lets him walk away, and he saying like, "I saved your life, now get out of here," and just lets that guy live, and that's pretty much what happened. So.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll never experience it because I always push him out the window.
Well, I just told you what happened. So like, you don't have to experience it. Just push the guy out.
Where's the rant in Krogan when you shoot the pipe and then it goes on fire?
Yep. You have to do that. Like,
you
just have. There's just several scenes where. Oh, I just thought of another scene that's really good. Mass Effect 3, it grunts like heroic standoff against the Rachni, where he just takes them all on.
Yeah.
The music makes you think he's gonna die, but when he comes out, he's just covered in blood. It's just like, that.
A great part.
Yeah, that's a really good moment.
The first time I played Mass Effect 3, and I thought these people are gonna make me kill Grunt, and Grunt's going off like, "Go Shepard, I got this." And I'm like, "No." And then when he comes crawling out, I was like, "Oh, thank God, Grunt's alive. We're good. All right."
Yeah.
Mass Effect 3 is an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah. That game is awesome. Like, to me, that game is the whole ending. It's not just the last 10 minutes. It's the whole experience.
All right. So another equally impossible to answer question. Who is your all-time favorite character? We'll make this a little bit easier in that it has to be besides Shepard. So any character, And I'm gonna make it a little easier by letting you pick two. You could pick the romance. Who is your favorite romance interest, and then non-romanceable character. So you can pick two. Make it a little easier because that's just a hard question. I think it's even harder than the last one. So it's hard.
I can
know,
go
right?
first.
Yeah, go for it.
My favorite character, I would say, is Legion. I think it's a weird character, but I really like his connection with the Geth and the Reapers, like that storyline and how they, like, you can choose the ending where he sacrifices, but the Geth and the Quarian are in peace. Like, I really like that. I don't know why, but it's really cool. I think it's a really unique character, and I love his voice. I don't know, it's so weird. It's like so strange, but I love it.
Mhm.
And my romance option was Miranda. I love her, and I love her storyline. Everything related to the Elusive Man, I think, is amazing. I love the Elusive Man characters and how she's related to him. It's really cool. So I don't know. I think those two are the ones that I always choose.
You hear that, Matthias? We save Miranda when you do it the right way. No, those are definitely good picks, man. Yeah, definitely great. What about you guys?
So the character that I romanced was Tally, because like for her character, like she fights for people, willing to sacrifice. And also I like her history as well too, how the Quarian people were exiled, they're living on these ships now, and they have to go on these pilgrimage. Oh man, I'm messing up that word.
Pilgrimage.
Pilgrimage. Thank you. Where they have to like find ways to help keep the flotilla afloat in a way. Excuse the pun. Where so that's part of her journey right there, and also she just seems to like just a very good character, and that's why I really liked her a lot. And then the second one's got to be Garrus. Garrus, like yeah,
Yes,
my man
yes.
Garrus,
the badass sniper rifle right there.
Yeah.
He's a really good shooter and just a great guy to talk to as well too. And like if you watch my streams, most of the time I always pick Tally and Garrus going. I said to myself, okay, I gotta mix them up here a little bit here and there. But most of the time, that's who I always pick was Tally and Garrus.
No, you're not wrong. To a lot of people would answer with those two because regardless of whoever is the romanceable one, because if you played as Femshep, the answer could be reversed. But
Right.
ultimately, I think those two characters have something special because what's special about those two characters is that they are the only two characters that are with Shepard in all three games. And it just goes to show their loyalty, that not to say that the other characters don't have loyalties and didn't have, valid reasons for not being with Shepard at different points. But the point is there's just something special about the fact that Tally and Garrus had other responsibilities. They had reasons to doubt Shepard at various points, but they always stuck by him. Like no one else, like just dropped everything and went and helped Shepard on all three missions. And I think that just makes them special. And there's a reason why they're two of the most popular characters, is because they did a lot for Shepard and i.e. us, the players, by just always being there. Like they, like Garrus leaves his home, like that's his home world that's under siege, and he goes in Mass Effect 3, he goes and works with Shepard trying to save the galaxy when his own home world needs him. And it just goes to show their loyalty and the fact that they're always there. And I think that was really cool that they're the only two that they're the only two that can say that. So I think that's a big reason why they're so popular. What about you, Cassie? What about your two?
My favorite romance is Garrus. I just love how it develops over the games, like how it ME3, the romance really develops really well. And the dance, he's the only one that can get Shepard to dance. And if I had to choose another character, it'd probably be Tally. She's just like my Shepard's like best friend, and she's always there. And I love her story. And the Quarians are really cool as well.
The Quarians are really cool. Okay, so the two of you that said Quarian, the Tally was one of your top two favorites. What do you guys think of Tally's updated facial model for the ME3 photo? Did you guys like it? Did you like the old one better? Did you think they did a good job with the remaster?
I thought it was better than the original. instead of using just an image. It's an actual 3D picture now.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
actually kind of.
Yeah, the remasters are pretty good.
Yeah, I actually like the updated one better. What they had, it seemed like it was more of the natural of the character of Tally.
Yeah.
Versus the other one, which it was okay, but I was not impressed. Impressed by it.
I thought they did a good job with the remaster of the photo.
Mhm.
And I know that they said that they weren't going to change literally like any of like they really didn't change any like gameplay or like specific moments. They didn't want to add to the experience, but if they would have broken that rule once, if I could, I would insert it. I think it would have been cool if they had given us a full face reveal. If they were to change anything, like just like they didn't have to change the scene much. They could just change the camera angle so we now see Tally's face. They could, we have modern visuals. They could make her. I don't know if they're going to show us her face. It'd be cool to see it in the moment when Shepard sees her face. And like, I think if I could make one change, like I'd make a lot. There's a lot of things I would like if I could tweak this or that. And I've been analyzing this game for 10 years. So like, of course I have a lot of opinions, but that'd be one thing that I would love to have seen inserted into the remastered collection. So yeah, that's really cool. I definitely,
I'm with you on that one.
But,
you guys are probably.
But I'm very happy with the remasters because the first one, the original Mass Effect, that game in terms of mechanics, that game sucks.
Yeah.
So the remasters really help that game.
The remaster is
And I'm very
super
happy
impressive
for
for
that.
one.
Yeah.
Agreed.
For me, man, I picking two. So I think, for the character that I frequently have Shepard romance the most, it's gonna be like my canon, is gonna be Miranda. So I'm gonna go with Nick on that. I've had runs with Liara and Tally and Garrus, and I've done lots of runs through for the game. But I think my personal canon, the one that I did my initial playthrough, and what I consider my head canon for it would be having Miranda. Which is why I had to break the time travel rule in 3 to save Miranda, because I played it the right way, and I'm never gonna let that go.
You're never gonna let that go, aren't you?
Nope.
Oh man.
Mass Effect 6 comes out, I'm gonna be like, "Are you gonna kill Miranda?" She's like, "She's not even in this game, bro." I'm like, "I don't care."
I'm just gonna say yes, just to spite you now.
So yeah, definitely, I really like the arc of that. And some people who don't play her arc just see her as kind of like this ice queen, but she really does, like, she's kind of like an onion. She really does unpack and become a more relatable character, and it's just a really cool just dynamic with her and Shepard. I would say I also want to pick Legion as my other character. It's close. I mean, I could put Garrus there. I could put Morden there. Rex. I really like Rex. Rex is awesome. In fact, I love Legion. I think he's like top 3 for me, but I'm probably gonna just to be a little different. I'm gonna say Rex because when he sees you on Mass Effect 2, and he's just like, Shepard, and Shepard's just like, "Get out of my way, my buddy's here," and I'm just like, "Oh, Grandpa Rex, give me a hug." Yeah, so I think I'm gonna pick Rex because just to be different.
Awesome.
Isn't that a good moment where when Rex and Shepard see each other in Mass Effect 2 for the first time, and they're just like so genuinely excited to see each other? It's awesome.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So
No, that was another great moment in the game.
So good. It's such a simple moment, but it's just so well done, and it's just so good. All right. So we've talked a lot about the original trilogy. So I had some other questions. Let's talk a little bit about the future. So I had 2 questions in the will continue category. So we all love the trilogy. We could probably talk about it for another 2 hours if we wanted to, but let's look at the future a little bit. So we all know a new Mass Effect's coming, right? And I'm really excited about it. I really hope to God BioWare could pull it off. BioWare's had some struggles, but they've done some restructuring. They got new talents. They brought some people back. They got a new guy in charge. Like, they've done a lot, and they've done a lot to promise that BioWare's trying to make a course correction for the future. Andromeda suffered, and then Anthem, I think, really taught BioWare a lesson that they needed to make some changes. And it might just be blind hope and optimism, but I think they can pull off a good game. I think they've learned their lesson, to restructure, reorganize, change things how we're done. So I'm hopeful for the next Mass Effect, and I know they're taking their time. They're not going to try to pull it off in 18 months like Anthem. Like it's gonna. I'm like every finger crossed that it will be good. But the question is what feature, story, or character type, doesn't have to be a specific character, just like a type of character, what do you want to see most in the next Mass Effect? It could be anything. It could be like, I want this story point resolved, or I want this gameplay feature, or I want to see this type of squad mate available. And you can answer all three of those categories. Like, what do you want to see in the next Mass Effect? What are some things you guys are hoping for?
Well, I would like to see the origins of the Reapers. Like, we know they come from other galaxies, right? So I would like to explore that, because I think the Reapers are, at least to me, the most interesting part of the universe of Mass Effect. And so I would like to see if they can show us a little bit more of them, even though I think they're destroyed, right? So yeah.
I agree. The Leviathan DLC from 3 is one of my favorite DLCs of the whole franchise. I think it's phenomenal. I love learning more about the lore of the Reapers. I personally agree with you. I really hope that we get more of the Reapers' background and their origins, and maybe the Leviathans. I'd love to see at least a story arc. Doesn't have to be the main story, but it would be nice to see it somehow integrated into it. A big part of Mass Effect 3's ending is this warning that if you destroy the Reapers, like, bad things are going to happen. And like, I've played around with the idea of like, maybe the Leviathans come back to power. They've been in hiding. Like, do they try to come back? Like I would love to see that be a story point to learn more about the lore of the Reapers. So I agree with that. That's a good point. Anyone else? Some wish lists for the next Mass Effect.
The one thing of like, I'm thinking like, for me, like thinking for like the next Mass Effect, like be cool if like you can play like other alien characters like a Turian or a Sari or Quarian. Like I think that would be really cool to do. Like, okay, like what's their kind of like their dive into their culture and play as their as the character. It doesn't have to be a character from any of the original Mass Effect trilogy. It could be a brand new character for that particular kind of species. And I think that'll be something really cool to dive in the world of those other aliens that you can play as.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that was maybe a missed opportunity for Andromeda, where like it was such a partitioned story that while I like, you need to have maybe the human option, but like I think that would have been a perfect opportunity for a create your own character, where you could have had the Ryder twins not have a canon species. I think that would have been cool. I definitely understand, I understand some of the arguments to the other side about this human perspective, but like I agree with you. I think it'd be a cool thing if they go the route of a new character, a new protagonist. There's a part of me that thinks that they're going to have you play as Liara, because that's what so much of the marketing is like what the teaser was focused on. I don't know if Liara is going to be the protagonist. I don't know if it's going to be a new character. I don't know if it's going to be we don't know. But if they go the create your own, if they make the decision to let us play as an alien of our choice, would be really cool, because that was one of the best parts of the multiplayer. I don't know if you guys played the
exactly.
Yes.
How cool was it to, now maybe this would be difficult to do, but like some of my favorite characters to play as in the old ME3 multiplayer was I love the Geth Prime, because he was huge. Gosh, I love that. He couldn't even jump or climb things, so he was like really hard to use in some ways, but he was also really OP. But he was like this massive tank. Like he was like a bullet sponge because he was so big. But yeah, no, I agree with that. I would love to play as other characters, because let me evolve the question, because you just made me think of it. If you are given the option, this is open to all of you guys. So just pause on that question for a second. We'll come back to Cassie for your pick. But if they give us that option, so Mass Effect 4, Mass Effect whatever they call it, comes out and it's a create your own character and you can pick whatever species. What are you guys picking first? Let's go off of that. Who are you guys going to play as first?
I'm going to play as a Turian first.
Definitely a Turian.
Yeah, Tyrion. What was the Garrus species? I don't remember.
What was that? Garrus? Yeah, Tyrion. Yep.
Tyrion.
Y'all picking Tyrion. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a fun thing to play as, because they have a very militaristic culture. It'd be really cool to learn more about them. We never get to step foot on the Tyrion homeworld in the series. That might give us the opportunity to do that. I think that'd be really cool to do that. It's actually one of the only homeworlds of the main species we don't get to set foot on. So yeah, it'd be really cool to see the Turian homeworld. I think I would probably, I think it'd be cool to, the Asari are, beloved characters. It'd be really cool to play as an Asari, but I would pick Krogan. I love playing as a Krogan. I mean, can you imagine being able to play a whole game from a Krogan's perspective? Like, just being able to bash through things and carry a shotgun and be just kind of the grumpy old 1,000-year-old Krogan. Like, I would love to play as a Krogan. So that'd be what I would pick if I got the option.
That would be fun.
It would make a romance story arc in the game maybe a little weird, but that's just not something I don't think I actually want to see. But
yeah.
Can you imagine seeing like a Krogan like trying to like kiss a character or something like that? It'd be really weird. No, but I think I'd pick a Krogan. So sorry, that was a kind of a segue, but your answer inspired a question in my head. So
okay.
Back to you, Cassie. What do you want to see in the next Mass Effect?
Maybe like exploring new worlds like you could in ME1, like going to like how they kind of did Andromeda, but more like exploring the planets and seeing new aliens, and that exploration has always been I loved about Mass Effect 1. I would love to see more of that in the new game.
I totally agree. I would say that is one of Andromeda's most redeeming factors. Like, Andromeda has flaws, and I was actually just talking with about this before we started recording, but like in prep for this, I actually started replaying Andromeda a little bit, and I was blown away just how much better it looks now than when it did when it had launch. When I originally played it, it didn't have 4K support at the time on the console I was playing on, and the facial animations were terrible, and it had this weird bokeh effect where everything behind you was blurry all the time. Now it's 4K, it's rendered well, the bokeh's gone mostly, and the facial animations look really good. And I was just like, it's actually one of its biggest redeeming factors is the massive open worlds. Like, was it implemented perfectly? No.
No.
But it shows the potential of what like an ME1 style could be like. So I hope you're absolutely right that in the next Mass Effect game, that when we're exploring multiple worlds, that it's not super small, limited environments, that we get to explore large spaces on these planets, and don't just hold that to like main mission worlds. Like, give us like random planets with like not much on there. Like, space is huge. I want it to feel huge. And if they give me a whole planet to explore with like one thing on it to do, that's fine. But yeah, I agree with you. Seeing ME1's scope in modern technology's capabilities. I agree with you on that. That'd be awesome. Any other?
I would also like to see more set pieces like Mass Effect 3 type. I love the fights against the Reapers and all the chases. I don't know. I really like that. So it would be cool if they could integrate something like that in the main story.
No, I agree. I definitely agree. For me, I would say I like the answer of the create your own character. I definitely second with that. I like the open explorable worlds. Those are two answers that I would also like pick in second. And yours as well. For me, I would say a character type I would like to see is I would like to see more like AI options. Like, we got so much, there was so much theme in the original trilogy around AI, but we only get 2 characters, and we don't get to like be with them as that much. And like, I would like to see more of that. So like an AI protagonist would be really cool. But I also want more more options for types of like squad mates. So actually, in my one thing that I thought would be really cool, and I was talking about this, would be like to see like other types of squad mates. So like in Andromeda, we get like some drones and stuff. I would like to see like just more robotics presence, like some AI. Like, I actually was playing around with the idea of like, kind of, you have your main squad, but then you have like a non-combat or like a pet system. So like, imagine how cool it'd be to like, you still have your regular 2 squad mates, but then you can have a third that's more like a support role. It could be like a field medic character, or it could be a like a robot dog or a drone or something like that that's always there, but in like kind of a support role. So I don't know. I would love to see more AI characters and squad mates and things. That's kind of a feature slash thing that I want to see more is just more robots. I can always do more robots. I love Legion. I love Edie. So I want more robots. That's
Yeah,
what I want to see.
robots are cool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want more robots. That's the short version of my answers. More robots. That's what I want. Cool. So on this topic of the next Mass Effect, probably the most divisive topic that anytime. So I see I'm in a few Mass Effect communities. You know, anytime I talk with it, it's probably this one that's very divisive about the new ones. That some people are very passionate for yes, some people are very passionate for no. I don't envy BioWare's decision on what to do with this topic. I don't know what they're going to do. I know what I want them to do, but I don't. I also only want them to do it if they pull it off. But that's Shepard. Yeah. Should Commander Shepard come back? Yes or no, and how? Like some people want Shepard to be the protagonist. Some people want him or her to be a cameo. Some people don't want Shepard to be touched at all. Like, leave Shepard be. We have Shepard's story. Tell something different. Like, where do you each fall on that? Do you want Shepard to come back? And if so, how?
Well, I remember one of the endings of Mass Effect 3 is a kid and an old man speaking, right? And the kid tells him, like, tell me another story of the Shepard. So what I get from that is that Shepard has become some type of myth in their universe. So I think that's a good way to bring him back, you know, to do another story of Shepard. It doesn't have to be like canon or anything like that. It's just another myth.
So you'd like to see Shepard come back? Okay. Do you want them to make Shepard the protagonist again, or do you want them to be just a like a cameo, or they show up at some point in the story, or?
I don't know. Maybe he can be passing the torch, something like that. I don't know.
Awesome. What about you guys?
Okay, so with Commander Shepard, like for my personal opinion, like I would say don't bring him back, but just have like a, let's say, a statue of her, of like remembering Shepard, of him and her, saying like this is what he or she did to save the galaxy, things like that, as memorial, but not as a protagonist, because with the Mass Effect trilogy, like the third game was the conclusion of that Shepard character, and the way they ended Mass Effect 3, he or she could just, most of the choices you die, but there's like one choice where you can like, or be able to be alive, where you get that short breath, but it's more like the way they ended is more like of a conclusion of that character. So I wouldn't mind like if they make mentions of Shepard. So I would rather see like a new protagonist in the next Mass Effect game, and with some mentions of Commander Shepard. That's my thoughts on there for Shepard.
All right. So we got 1 for, 1 against. What about you, Cassie?
I'd probably like to see Shepard again. Just how it, because I usually choose destroy, and my Shepard usually has the breath. I'm just kind of curious, like how they would implement that into the next Mass Effect, how they're gonna do, like what ending, or like multiple endings. I don't know, but maybe passing the torch to a new character, or they're like a mentor. Shepard's a mentor or something like that.
So I have this might come as a surprise, but I have a lot of opinions on the topic. I agree with you guys. I would like to see Shepard come back in some way. So I actually small shameless plug for one of my own pieces of content. I did write a fan concept for what I want Mass Effect 4 to look like. They're not going to do it. I know that no one at BioWare has read it. I know it's not what they're going to do, but it's something that if I was in control, that I would like to do. My premise was, so we roughly know that this takes place in the far future, just for some of the clues that they've given us, that the next Mass Effect 4 is probably going to see a very sizable time jump. And I want them to use that to kind of merge the Milky Way and the Andromeda storylines back into one game. So in my fan concept, I have it where I actually set the protagonist as Liara. So we see Liara 600 years in the future. She has her own ship and her own crew, and she's on a mission to save the galaxy again from a new threat. And she wants Shepard back to help her. And there's all these reasons for it and everything. And so she's on a mission to try to get help. And I I always do the control ending. I do the control ending because I think it's just really cool. I know it's not the ending that they're going to canonize, but in my fan concept, I had a way to keep the destroy and canon and the destroy and the control both viable options. Because that's another big debate is just like, if BioWare is going to pick an ending, which one are they going to pick and how are they going to make that work? And that's another big topic. And I was just like, well, I wanted to come up with a story that they could at least save two endings without devaluing the control ending that I like. So I basically have the way I bring Shepard back in this concept is I use Control Shepard, who's still alive 600 years later because he's an AI. And he basically crosses over into the destroy timeline to help Liara with the threat. And I have this whole story arc idea of like a multiverse crossover. Go read the article for those of you watching. I'll put it in the link. Just shameless plug for my little, but I think it's cool, and it's actually something that I partnered up with you, Nick, on. That's the one that you drew that scene for us. So I would love this because I want Shepard to come back. I don't think they need to be the protagonist. I'm okay if they do that, but I just basically want. I was kind of the way I envision it is that we have a different protagonist for the bulk of the story, and we bring Shepard back in a big heroic Luke Skywalker type of hallway scene type of moment where they come back like an Avengers Endgame moment where Shepard comes back to save the day. Like it's like this that's how if you're going to bring Shepard back and he or she's not going to be the protagonist, you have to bring Shepard back in the biggest blaze of glory possible, because you want all of us gamers up off our seats shouting, yes, Shepard's back. And it needs to be a really big heroic moment. And I don't want Shepard just to be like sitting in an office somewhere and their protagonist goes like, hey, it's Shepard, you're the hero of the first. I don't want a cameo. If they're going to bring Shepard back, they need to do it right. So that's my only caveat. So yeah, I'm on the yes camp, but so like to give an example, like I'm also a big Trekkie, and one of my childhood heroes is Captain Picard. And if any of you like Star Trek and have watched the Star Trek Picard show, it's awful. And I'm just so mad at Paramount for ruining one of my childhood heroes with a garbage show that brought him back. And I'm like, you guys bring Captain Picard back, you better pull it off. And they didn't. And it actually kind of took away from my memory. Like I love Star Trek, and Captain Picard is one of my childhood heroes, and they're kind of stomping on that by ruining with a horrible show. So I don't want them to do that with Mass Effect. So if they're going to bring back Shepard, has to be good. So that's my only stipulation is that it has to be good, it has to be heroic. You have to pull it off. The game has to be phenomenal. If they pull it off, great. I'm all for it. If they can't pull it off, don't touch Shepard. Leave Shepard alone. That's my opinion on it. Any other thoughts on that? Would you guys agree that only bring back Shepard if you can pull it off?
Yeah, I'm with you on that one as well too. Like, if you can bring him back, and if you pull off well, yes, then go ahead, bring him back.
Yes.
I just don't want to make sure he's just like a shoe-in or something like that. Come on, like let's just make it organic and natural. So that's why I'm kind of like sometimes a little on the fence if they want to bring him back or not, because they did say like Mass Effect 3 conclusion of the Shepard story.
Yeah. We also don't want to trivialize.
I'm in the middle.
Yeah, we don't want to trivialize.
If you bring Shepard, bring him well, but if you don't bring him, then it's fine. Like I don't need him. I already have 3 games with him.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think none of us wants to. We don't want to ruin the experience of the original trilogy. Shepard sacrifices themselves to save the galaxy. We don't want to ruin that. Like we need, if Shepard comes back, they have to do it right. There's no margin for error. But I'm not opposed to it outright. So yeah. All right. So another topic. This one's a little bit away from the topic of the next Mass Effect, but we know we're getting a new Mass Effect, right? But let's play a little creative with this a little bit. We kind of know what the next Mass Effect's going to look like. We know it's a time jump in the future. We know it's probably 600-ish years. We know Liara is alive, at least somewhat present in the game. We know a little bit of what story they're kind of building. So my question is, if you could pick. So this is where we're going to design our own game. So we actually have a article series called 5 Games where we pitch games set in various universes. We actually did one on Mass Effect. So another shameless plug for one of my articles. We're going to have to put that in the description too. is I love the idea of pitching hypothetical games. So if you guys were in charge of designing a Mass Effect game, you could pick any time period, any type of characters, any plot, even like the gameplay genre. It doesn't have to be a third-person shooter. It could be anything. If you could design your own Mass Effect game from scratch, what would you want to make?
Well, I have two ideas. I think they can work as spin-offs. And the first one is I would like to see the war between humans and Quarians. I think that will do a decent game at least. Maybe a third-person shooter will work. And the other one is an XCOM type game. It doesn't have to be with Shepard or anything like that, but I really like that type of games. So I think Mass Effect will fit that.
Yeah, an XCOM strategy-based game would be really cool. You could even do it to where it's like ground-based and like space combat, like an Armada-style game, like a RTS in space, and you can go back and forth. I'd play that.
Yeah.
I'd play like an XCOM style like strategy game set in the Mass Effect universe. They have a lot of cool ships, a lot of good like ground
I
crew.
mean, it worked with Gears of War, so
Yeah,
it can work with anything.
no, those are good ideas. What about you guys?
Well, here's one idea. I like is from one of the comics I read from the expanded universe for Mass Effect, like of the storyline of Garrus, like out of his childhood, like and him growing up, like maybe like doing a game like based on his childhood growing up, and then you'll be able to see the Turing world where he grew up and everything, like, and then you're going to have a lot more emotional impact when Garrus mentioned in Mass Effect 3, do you see that big yellow spot on my planet? That's where I live. Like that, like a storyline made like around there. I feel like there would be something more because he goes into CSEC, he wanted to go into security, he wanted to do the right thing. And I feel like there's a lot of story right behind there that you could make a game right out of it.
I think a lot of gamers would agree with you on some type of Garrus-centric story. It could be his time on Omega. It could be his time in CSEC. It could be, you could even have part of it be when he's younger, growing up on. I don't think you'd be alone on that at all. I think Garrus is one of the most popular characters. People love Garrus. I think if they gave us a Garrus game,
It'll sell all the copies.
Yeah. You know, I people are so passionate about Garrus as a character. It's just like some of the nuances in their relationship. Like people argue over, do you shoot the bottle in the air or do you let him miss? Like people argue over that so much. One of my favorite parts with Garrus is like the nuance of like the importance of on the suicide mission giving him leadership, because like Garrus is in this moment in his story where like he lost his old crew. He doesn't believe in himself as a leader, and you're picking a leader to lead a mission in addition to you. So you're leading one team, so you pick someone else to lead another team. And I think it's important to pick Garrus because you're telling Garrus that you trust him. He can lead a team. He can do this. He doesn't like, he's not second to Shepard. Like people love talking about Garrus and his relationship with Shepard and this whole story arc about him believing himself as a leader again. Yeah. You're not alone. I'd play the shit out of that game. Cassie, what about you? Design your own Mass Effect spinoff.
I think it'd be cool to see like how first human contact would have gone, like the Turians. I just think that'd be kind of cool seeing how humans first found the relay. Just seeing that in a video game would have been really neat.
I think that's probably one of the most common answers to this type of question. Like, hey, what type of Mass Effect game do you want to see? A lot of people want to see the first contact war. Like I think that one of the reasons they're scared to make it is because BioWare wanted the Turians to be kind of this intimidating, imposing, militaristic culture. Like they were the people we met first and we had a war right away, and now we're kind of loosely friends. But then all the fan base are like, we love Turians. So like I think they're kind of scared to like, everybody wants this game, but I don't think people like, they're like, y'all realize the Turians were the bad guys, right? You're like shooting Turians. Turians are evil. They'd have to have like a Turian villain. Like, I think they're like, we wanted them to be these scary, militaristic, like space warriors, but you all love them too much. So like, I don't know. Like I would love that game. I think it'd be really cool, but I think that's why they're scared to make that spin-off story, is because people love Turians so much.
Yeah.
Like all of you said, if you picked a protagonist, you'd want to play as Turians.
Yeah.
So like I think, I don't know, they could do it, but pulling off of Turians are the bad guys would be hard because we all love Turians so much. But I would love to see that story. I definitely agree.
But
with
it worked out all in the end.
Yeah.
I agree that that would be a really cool one. I was actually gonna pull up I have my 5 games list that I did. And I wanted to kind of refresh myself on, I think it was actually the first one that we did in that series was the Mass Effect one. And I had a couple ideas, so I want to pitch them to you guys, see what you think. So I made 5 games as part of our 5 games article. Number 1 was the Rachni Wars. I'm sorry, number 5. I did.
Yeah.
I was just like, I pitched it as like a 3rd-person horde mode shooter. So they didn't have too much story, but it would have like, you'd basically be playing as Krogan ground soldiers in like these like really like Gears of War gritty type environments as Krogan, and you're working with the Solarians, and we get the story of like the Krogans are fighting in the Rachni, and it's a very like dark horror-esque game where like, I mean, you have like these giant space bugs flying at you, and it's very like I pitched like this very like gritty, muddy, bloody, dark horde mode type game where you're just fighting off hordes of Rachni as Krogan. And we get to see the rebellions, and like we get to see the genophage put into place in it. So I thought that was a cool one. My number 4 pick was a space simulator type game where like I basically pitched Microsoft Flight Simulator, but in space. Where like I literally just want a ship and fly around and like endless space, like No Man's Sky, but photorealism. So I thought that one was cool. My number 3rd pick was the Prothean Empire. Like, and it like kind of, I pitched it as like an old Republic type game where we get to see the ancient history where like we play as Protheans fighting the Reapers.
That would be a good one.
Like a completely human-free experience, like just seeing the Prothean Empire. Because we get to see a little bit of it through Javik, but I mean, how cool would it be to get a whole Mass Effect game set during the Prothean era? Like we just play as a Prothean versus the Reapers, and we get to see their culture. Just like, give me 20 hours, 100 hours of that. My number 2 one was an Armada style game, kind of similar to what you said, Nick, was basically I just wanted to have a galaxy map and move ships around and fight Reapers with, you know, I love the idea of like a top-down strategy space game. And then my number 1 pick was I want a separate new multiplayer game. That was my number 1 pick, was just give me ME3 multiplayer, but with today's tech. I want like it doesn't have to be any particular genre. It could be horde mode. They could have battle royale. They could have team deathmatch. I don't care, but I want a modern free-to-play multiplayer experience. They didn't give us multiplayer back for the Legendary Edition, so like I need something that I can log in, play some matches. I don't want just like a remaster of ME3's multiplayer. I want like a whole new experience. I want all the characters, all the species, you know, different, all the locations, and I think a modern multiplayer experience that's standalone would be really cool. And EA loves those, so I don't know why the hell they haven't even tried to do that yet. Like EA loves live service multiplayer experiences, and they're sitting on Mass Effect, which would make an awesome one. So I don't know why. They love money and they love making these types of games. So I thought it'd be like the easiest pitch in the world. We're like, hey, EA, you want to give us all these live servicey multiplayer games? This is one that I want. So go make that one. So that was my number 1 answer to that. But yeah, I'll put the link down in that article. Out of the 5 that I mentioned, because I had a whole article, which of those 5 did you guys like the best? Which one do you most want?
I actually
I want the multiplayer back.
I'm sorry, we got interrupted. Matthias first, and then Nick.
I would love to see like the Prothean War. That I think that will look really cool, and then the whole backstory, and then their culture and the species as well too. Since we only got brief of it in Mass Effect 3, that will be something really cool to see.
Yeah, Prothean 1 would be a lot of fun. Just give us the old Republic for Mass Effect. I want to go to the ancient history and see. And what's really cool about it is that it could be a standalone story, and it could be almost Rogue One-esque in that Mass Effect is always
Yes.
about who lives and dies, importing it into future games. You could like take a completely opposite strategy with that and have everybody die. Like
Yeah,
no matter what you
exactly.
do, it could be like Mass Effect has always been about if you do the right thing, you can save some people. You're worrying about who lives, so you can try to import it into a future game. With the Protheans, you could tell the opposite type of storyline where like you could have a sense of inevitability to it. Where like Mass Effect 3, I'm sorry, the Mass Effect original trilogy is all about hope. Like save as many people as you can, stop the Reapers, there's hope, and that's cool. If you tell this story, we could get a story where there's no hope. You know they all gonna die. You know the Protheans fail. And having that type of story where there's some inevitability to it would be kind of interesting. I like the idea in this game where everybody dies at the end. Everybody. There's no sequels. Like everybody that you spend 40 hours falling in love with this character, they die. Nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
It's been 10 years. I haven't forgiven them for making me lose Legion. He's the only one that you can't save. So you could have a whole cast of characters that are like, hey, guess what? You could put $100 into this. You do everything right. You're still going to lose. And I kind of like that. I don't know. It would be a game in a bubble where like everybody dies at the end, no matter what, like kind of like a Rogue One story. So
Right.
yeah. What about so Nick, Cassie, you what are your pitches that you liked from that? Any of those that you'd play?
Yeah, I want the multiplayer back. Like the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer was really good, and I love old modes. So having that back would be pretty cool. It doesn't have to. It doesn't need a story. I don't care. I just want to play with my buddies, a bit of order. Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah, just a purely multiplayer experience, something with modern engine, modern tech. That's my number one pick. That's the one I want most. Well, you, Cassie, out of those 5 pitches, any of those stand out to you? Did you like any of those?
I'd probably go with multiplayer because I used to play M3 multiplayer all the time with friends, and I miss playing with friends again. It'd be nice to play with newer engines.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it'd be a really great way to, because the Mass Effect community is such a social, like we just love talking about Mass Effect and getting together. Like we don't have a game that we can come together and play together. Like,
yeah,
I don't want a live servicey story. Like I don't want like an Anthem or like obviously Anthem didn't work because I don't. It's not that I want the next Mass Effect to be a live service because one thing that BioWare and EA is not very good at is giving us our live service RPGs. They Anthem was a complete failure. They were trying to put that stuff into Dragon Age, the new Dragon Age 4. It wasn't working. They stopped it. Like they know that doesn't work, but that doesn't mean a completely separate standalone multiplayer only game without story. Just give me matches to fight Reapers and stuff. I want that. So that would work.
Yep.
So yeah, that's cool. Those are my pitches for what I want to see in Mass Effect. So before we wrap up, was there any final thoughts, anything else that you guys wanted to share as far as any of the questions or any topics, any others like, one more thing I just wanted to get off my head, off top of my chest about Mass Effect before we start our we're going to go around and plug some stuff.
I don't know. I think Mass Effect Andromeda had potential, and I would like to see that storyline to be continued.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't know. I hope the new one is good.
I think what they could do is that if they're going to time jump anyways, and they've been hinting that Andromeda is going to be a part of the next game. It's just be Milky Way and Andromeda. So the way I envision that is that we're going to see a time jump in the Milky Way, but it's just going to basically be, from a timeline standpoint, it's going to be shortly after Andromeda. And I would love for them to somehow connect it back. I pitched it as Ryder can become squad mates for whoever the new protagonist is, whether it's Liara, Shepard, or Make Your Own. I'm okay with that merger. So I want Andromeda to come back. I had the idea of like they could have some type of like super relay that connects the two galaxies back and forth. I don't know. I agree. I don't want the story to be completely ended. There was some really cool story arcs there. They can just kind of merge them back, take the best parts of Andromeda and bring it back into this story. Maybe bring some of the characters back. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, unless there's anything else, I was going to give everyone a chance to just quickly plug some stuff. So I already plugged 2 articles I want people to check out, put in the description. What do you guys have any projects you're working on? Any upcoming streams? Any something that you're excited about? That's Mass Effect related that you want to share with the viewers?
Yes. So on my live stream, Lightspeed streams on Twitch, I live stream Tuesdays and Thursdays at 3:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And it's live streams of Mass Effect 2, and then soon it's going to be Mass Effect 3 as well too, and then possibly Andromeda as well too. That's pretty much what I'm doing right now, and I'm also on Instagram as well too at Lightspeed Stream. You can check out my posts, my clips, and also what I do outside of my live streams as well too. And also I'm on YouTube as well, where I upload a bunch of my past live streams.
Cool. We'll definitely have to try to help check that out. I'll want to stop there. I got to make sure you save Miranda next time. And
yeah, I'm going to be doing that.
I will be in your comments going, you know what to do. You know what you be like, you need to, I'm going to put in detailed instructions on like how to save her in Mass Effect 3.
Oh, if you do that, I'll be very grateful.
You're like, oh, you can't start that mission yet. You got to go to this obscure panel, click on this thing, and talk to her at this point in time. It's actually kind of hard. I'm joking about it, but it's actually kind of easy to let her die in that game.
Me, that's the reason why I couldn't save her. I didn't realize
it's easy to mess it up.
Going I have to talk to her. I got to talk to this. But wait, I missed all this right here.
She's like, there's like 3 or 4 things that if you do it at the wrong time or in the wrong place, she dies. You also, like, if you break up with her, if Shepard did romance her and you break up, it's like she always, I don't know, it's complicated, but okay. Cassie and Nick, anything you guys want to plug?
Yeah, you can find me as Nico Arto in Instagram and Twitter. I have commissions open, so yeah, check them out.
You gonna have any new Mass Effect art anytime soon, man? You put out like 1 million cool pieces every day. What's the next Mass Effect character you want to draw?
Maybe Tali. Who knows?
Tally'd be cool. You should draw Tally. That'd be sick. What about you, Cass? Anything you want to plug?
I'm Seashells N7 on Instagram and on Twitter. I'm just doing cosplay stuff and doing like 3D renders mostly every day. I'm posting.
What cosplay are you working on right now?
It's a trying to do a crossover cosplay of it's a crossover with Cyberpunk and Mass Effect. So Judy's character, if she was a Mass Effect.
That's cool.
I love doing crossovers.
Yeah, sounds pretty cool.
I was actually you just reminded me of that. You have some really cool crossovers on the render side where like you have some like Witcher and Cyberpunk crossovers with Mass Effect that are really cool. Like what was it? I think you had Siri. Was it Siri that you crossed over with and was she wearing like, I'm trying to remember. I'm going off the top of my head. Was it Liara?
Yeah, it was Liara's one of her alliance armors. I put Siri's head and then I made the sword glow. So I had that kind of Witcher kind of sword effect.
Hey, well, Siri can travel the multiverse. She can show up in the next Mass Effect. Yeah. I'd be totally okay with that if they have her show up in the next Mass Effect. They'll be like, this doesn't make any sense, but we're going to have her anyway. All of us would be fine with it. No one would have any complaint. Yep, just bring her in. So yeah, she's a multiversal character. So I was really disappointed they didn't have her show up in Cyberpunk because there's that whole thing. For those of you that don't know, there's a like one line in The Witcher where Ciri describes the cyberpunk world and everyone's like, we want her in Cyberpunk. And there was like one dev that was being interviewed about it. I think it was actually the creator of Cyberpunk. He was just like, no, I don't like that scene. I don't know how that line got in Witcher. I don't want to do that. And all of us gamers are like, yeah, but we want Ciri in the Cyberpunk. So that could have saved Cyberpunk. Like all the crap that they did in Cyberpunk would have been forgiven if they had given us Ciri, I think. So
no, the only time you get to see Ciri is in that magazine if you do the Corpo path. You just see a small little magazine with Ciri on the cover.
Really? I didn't know that. Yeah. That's cool. I'll have to look that up. I missed that. That's cool. Awesome. Yeah. So definitely for those of you that are watching, stay tuned for more Infinite Summer content. We're doing more of these discussion panels and we're going to be doing trailers. We have some developer interviews. Thank you for stopping by. Definitely please check out these 3 creators. They're super talented. They have amazing Mass Effect content that they put out all the time. And it's definitely worth checking out and following. So please, I'm going to put in their links down in the description below. Check them out. And we'll see you guys on the next Infinite Summer video.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up, it's time to look at the enemy.